Yo, hip hop universe, what's going on? So, UK legend Skepta, he sat down with Ebro for an interview with Apple Music recently that I thought was pretty interesting overall, but understandably so. Ebro asked Skepta what was his thoughts on the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef because that was easily one of the biggest moments of the entire year within hip hop. And Skepta, in so many words, said that he didn't enjoy it, or he wasn't really a fan of the whole situation. Which I'm not that surprised that he answered in that manner because him and Drake are cool, or at least last time I heard about it, him and Drake were cool with each other. So most people that are cool with Drake or close to Drake, they're not gonna want to speak too positively on the situation because in the heart of hearts, they all know Drake lost. So it is what it is. But Skepta also in this interview, he argued that Kendrick Lamar went too far. Now, before I get into that, Ebro made a great point when he said that you could argue that there was lying on both sides because a lot of Kendrick Lamar stans, they don't want to admit that Kendrick was putting out just as many unverifiable statements as Drake was. Because at the end of the day, just like how when Drake's claiming that Kendrick's girlfriend cheated on him with Dave Free and the baby's really Dave Free's baby, just like how that's far-fetched and there's no concrete evidence behind that, there's also no concrete evidence behind Kendrick saying that Drake is hiding another child. Now, maybe he is hiding another child, but at the end of the day, there's still no concrete evidence behind that. Just like how it could be possible that Kendrick's girl did have a baby with Dave Free, but there's no concrete evidence behind that. And there's also no concrete evidence behind Drake messing with kids. Now, to be fair, even though there's no concrete evidence, there are incidents that look very weird and make it very believable, like Drake's whole friendship with the Stranger Things girl, or way back in the day when Drake was on stage at a concert flirting with the girl who ended up being 17. So there are weird things that Drake has done that make it believable, but just doing weird things by itself automatically isn't concrete evidence. So I'm just, like I said, I don't have a side in the whole situation. At the end of the day, I like Kendrick and Drake's music, so I try to be as objective and fair as possible when I look at this situation. But still, Ebro, he was also bringing up the fact that Tupac's song "Hit 'Em Up," you could argue was too far, which I agree with. And mind you, "Hit 'Em Up's probably my favorite diss song of all time. It's it's easily the most infamous diss song of all time. It's a legendary diss song. It's drowning in anger and just negative energy, but you could argue it went too far. Tupac was making fun of even at the end of the song, Tupac is making fun of Prodigy for having sickle cell. Like he's talking about killing Biggie's kids and how allegedly he hooked up with Faith Evans and all this other stuff. Like, you could easily argue that's too far. And but everybody was cool with it. And this is the problem I have when it comes to the whole diss track conversation, is the fact that people pick and choose what they think is too far based on if they like the person or not, right? You could argue that Ice Cube on No Vaseline went too hard at his former bandmates in NWA when he was making all those allegations about them being violated and touched by that white dude that was managing them, right? But people liked Ice Cube though, so people turned a blind eye to it. But then on the flip side, a few years ago, I don't know if people remember, but Troy Ave and Joy Badass, they had a beef with each other. Troy Ave, he put out a diss track where he made fun of Capital Steez for committing suicide, and a lot of people came at Troy Ave and said that was too far. But again, this is what makes this conversation so weird to me, is the fact that, again, people pick and choose based on who they like, because the idea of too far, it's all subjective at the end of the day, man. You could argue that Pusha T went too far on his diss records because he made fun of 40 for having what I forgot the name of the illness that OVO 40 has, but he has some illness, and Pusha T made fun of that. Or also, Pusha T brought up Drake having a kid, right? And he technically exposed it. Now, technically, Pusha didn't really expose it because there was already different blogs talking about it, but it kind of was swept under the rug until Pusha T made it super popular. But either way, you could argue these things were too far. And I don't know if that's really our place to argue that there's a such thing as too far in rap beefs, because, and Ebro brought this up, even in when you see some of these like battles with like URL and King of the Dot and all these rap battle leagues, they get very personal too. Like, rap battles aren't like what they used to be in like the heyday of like Eminem and 8 Mile, where they're just having like even in 8 Mile he kind of got personal, but it's not like what it was way back in the day where it was just two people just trying to out rap each other. Rap battles for a long time now have been very personal and very mean spirited. So I don't know if it's our place to say what's too far and what's not too far at this point. And then you could also make the argument that Drake brought it on himself. And I wish Ebro would have asked Skepta this and brought this angle up. Is you could argue that Drake brought this on himself because Drake has a tendency in his beefs, he has a tendency to bring women into the fold and use them as like a proxy to attack the rapper he's beefing with. Now, when he did this strategy against Meek Mill, it worked masterfully. Like, it was a good idea, and it was also the first time we've seen him do it, so nobody really thought too deep into it, but it was a good idea, right? Like, Meek Mill at the time was at the height of his popularity. He was leaning heavily into this very rough and tough sort of overly masculine sort of street image, and when Drake brings Nicki into the fold and brings her up and says shout out to all my boss bitches, wife and niggas, that's definitely a statement that kind of attacks and repurposes how people, or reshapes how people view or perceive Meek Mill, right? It was a good idea at that time. But Drake tried to do the same thing or a similar thing again when he was beefing with Pusha T by bringing up Pusha T's fiance or whatever, and then that backfired, and that allowed people to feel like, hey, everything Pusha did was justified because Drake's bringing in people who aren't rappers into the equation. And then he did the same thing with Kendrick Lamar, where he brought in Kendrick Lamar's girlfriend, and now again it allowed people to feel like, hey, anything beyond this point is justified, and Drake can't be mad because you were the one who made it too personal first. So I don't know, man. It's a very tricky situation when it comes to talking about what's too far. Also, Skepta argued that in the long term, he believes that this will sabotage opportunities for the next generation of artists as far as like brand deals. And I mean, maybe that's the case, because I'm sure with the whole PDF file allegations that a lot of companies might have backed away from Drake. But at the same time, I don't think in the long term it's really gonna make that much of a difference, especially when you're seeing, even though on one hand you could argue a lot of brand deals and opportunities or companies might stray away from hip-hop artists, on the flip side it may actually work in hip-hop artists' favor, as crazy as it may sound, because right now, as we all know, Kendrick is scheduled to perform at the Super Bowl, and in all likelihood he's gonna perform Not Like Us. So again, it's a very, depending on how you look at it, I know there's people who have two different perspectives on this, and I think all sides have very good points. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do you think Skepta is right and Kendrick went too far? Or do you think that there's no such thing as too far in a rap beef?
All my life I dream of space and a place where I feel safe. So I'm on the paper chase, yeah, I'm on the paper chase, yeah. Yeah, I'm on the paper chase. the trivial things, it's a mess, but we concealing the rings of the eyelids, cause for material things we're blind. And when the diamonds go bling, they're dancing whenever we sing but can't see the pain that stings the skin deep in. It pins me, the sanity's bring to the fans. We think OP, the dark poems I cover in pink. I don't know, but my rose will be canon on ink. I speak for those whose voice will shrink. I sit back while society sinks. Cold word rap like I'm wearing a mink. I glide on beats like a skate rink. The game circle, my bars are chain link. Not even blockchain could contain me. All my life I dream of space and a place where I feel safe. So I'm on the paper chase, yeah, I'm on the paper chase, yeah. Yeah, I'm on the paper chase. All my life I dream of space and a place where I feel safe. So I'm on the paper chase, yeah, I'm on the paper chase, yeah. Yeah, I'm on the paper chase.